What's up, guys? There's no big news to talk about. You're just here to see some mock drafts, right? Like that's what's
It's draft
happening.
season.
It's
That's
just a
all.
regular mock draft Monday, Sam. How we doing?
Yeah. Uh, it's draft season. I'm only focused on drafts. There's nothing else going on, right? So just
Absolutely.
fine, right? Normal newsless, boring Monday afternoon,
Yeah,
evenings.
yeah. So welcome everybody into another episode of Mock Draft Duel. Jacob Roach, Sam Penix, we are here with you tonight to go over some more mock drafts. Um, we'll let's do this. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up on this video. We appreciate you all hanging out with us here this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed Quincy Carrier Live ahead of us. As we dive in here, one thing we will say, I don't really know what to think of the Myles Garrett situation. Sam, I'll give you the floor if you want to talk on that real quick before we launched into tonight's programming.
I think it's significant that he came out and publicly requested a trade, especially in that fashion. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong. Back when David Njoku requested his trade, he didn't do anything like it was public knowledge that he requested a trade, but it wasn't public like this, right? It wasn't a kind of a spectacle type thing.
I don't
Um,
remember a statement like this, no,
yeah, I
because
don't, I don't,
there's like a
I don't recall
signed
that either.
statement and everything in this
hmm
situation.
Yeah, that was that was put together, graphics and everything. Yeah, so that was so clearly there's an intent here for some reason, whether that's a new contract, whether that's to actually force his way out. We'll have to see. There are significant financial ramifications to trading him, so that makes things very difficult. But I mean, if he wants out and the alternative is if he's willing to sit out, what are you going to do? You're going to try to figure
Mhm.
out a way to just sell him to the highest bidder, figure out a way to reconfigure his contract to where the dead cap hit isn't astronomical and prevents you from moving him. So we'll see. It's really interesting situation. I mean, like this team needed any more drama and news off the field. So I mean, they've got the off season, but like they need to know what they're doing before I would say before free agency. So they got a month ish, right? So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
It was really weird timing to me because like May 12th, or not May 12th, March 12th is like is the new league year. So it's just
hmm
significantly early to me. It makes me think, and this is the optimism. This has got to be the optimist in me. It makes me think it's more of like putting pressure on them to be like, whatever plan they presented him with to win in 2025 wasn't good enough. And it seems like he's giving them enough time to try to maybe redo that.
It
I
could
don't know.
be,
Just because it's so early. That's the only reason I say that.
yeah. The thing is too, like there's only so much that they can lay out at this point. Like, yeah, you can say, all right, Miles, we're going to get a veteran quarterback that we can win with. You don't
Right.
know who that's going to be yet because it's not free agency yet, like the years and years. So Geno Smith, like Kirk Cousins, like there's all these guys who may or may not be available. You have no clue what's really going to happen. You just know that at worst, you're going to be faced with the option to take at least one of those two top quarterbacks at number two. That's really all you can say is set in stone at this point. And if he's adamant about saying, hey, I don't want to wait around for a rebuild, then presenting him with the option of, hey, we might take this rookie quarterback, I don't know that he would love that idea. So that might have something to factor into it.
Hey, the first comment here: D end at 2, a D end at 33 in play. Carter Sawyer and McGuire is a solid rotation. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, yeah. I don't hate that. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. I'll jump back to PFF this week since we
All right.
switched it up last week. Um, and I've already got mine up fighting mad. So let's not fighting mad. I don't know. I don't really know. So anyway, we'll start here. We'll start with this week's mock. I'll start here on the PFF. One thing that's interesting is they still have a pick 242 that the Browns don't actually have. So that's the one thing that's interesting when you do their sim. But
Bonus.
this is going to be really interesting because we get to talk about some of these Senior Bowl changes as these players,
Mhm.
because I know PFF has updated their big board as a result. So I'm very interested to get into that. But I'm going to make it just point to the point, simple, easy. I know I did this like 2 weeks ago, and it's a super, super cop out, but I continue to think that Abdul Carter is the right way to go. So I'm going to do this mock as if nothing changes in the Myles Garrett world. It is a Monday night. So because I really think take Carter, see if the see go up for 1 and 2 and trade my I see what you're
Draft
saying.
day.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Like it brings me back to with the tight or with the Texans. Yeah, I know it was 2 and 3 that they did it with, but like they're like, hey, or whatever the pick is CJ Stroud and Will Anderson. They're like, we're just gonna get both of these dudes, and like that'd be funny to do Hunter and Abdul Carter and just be like put yourself in this really get these really high upside two like really freaky level athletes that are unique, very unique prospects, and getting both of them, that'd be
You
insane.
gotta get
But
a. You need a another top 10 pick to do that though, or at least top 15. So there's actually a pretty interesting way you could possibly get one of those.
well, but anyway, I get so I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue with Abdul Carter. I cannot wait for his combine, man. Like I just want to see what how you measure the freakiness that he has as an athlete and whatnot. Like, I just want to see what it looks like.
Then he's just not gonna test because he just knows he's already going top 2. Like there's no point, and we're gonna be so sad.
Yeah. It's just going to be like when I found there were several people. Elikido Manor dropped out of the Senior Bowl. Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker from UCLA. Some guys I was super, super excited to see at the Senior Bowl, and then they just weren't there. So,
It's a
all right,
bummer.
over to you, my friend.
All right. Well, I can either go trade down or I can go quarterback here. So I don't love it, but I think I'm gonna try to keep it simple, and we're gonna say, all right, the Browns for some reason they've done all the research, they've done all the background work, they interviewed these guys at the Senior Bowl, at the Combine, Pro Days, and they think, okay, Sanders is the guy. We believe we can win with him, and we think, especially with this Myles Garrett situation, we think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback right now. So this is what we're going with, and
Okay.
and we'll go with this situation, this scenario for tonight.
So this is my question because like I'm like a little bit of a shitter Sanders hater. Are you just banking on the fact that he does a lot of winning above the shoulders, and that kind of you think that correlation with that aspect of it and the Stefanski thing would work really well?
I wouldn't even necessarily say it's above the shoulders. I think it's just the premier accuracy
Okay.
in the area of the field that I think Stefanski likes to work a lot in. Like if you think back to 2020, like I always go back to that second half of 2020 when Baker Mayfield was just tearing it up. He
Mm-hmm.
was making a lot of good deep ball throws, but the majority of his success was coming in that intermediate area of the field where he was just beating guys, just
Yeah.
accurate throws on a rope. Where I think, yeah, Sanders doesn't have that arm strength, but if you're keeping him in that area of the field where he doesn't necessarily have to like load up and throw with everything he has, he can just sit back there and execute throw after throw after throw. I think you can have some level of success there, even if you don't think he has the physical traits worthy of a second overall pick or the kind of guy who is going to be a really top end starter.
All right, all right. But I think those are all fair points. I had a really good productive conversation with somebody about Shadur Sanders that like the day after I published a profile that was like he's a second round pick, and this guy's like he had like came for me with it was a very I loved it because it was one of those conversations where you're like this guy's not insulting me, he's just saying hey, what about X, Y, and Z? Like, I
Yeah,
disagree because of X, Y, and Z. And I just, that's what I thrive on this time of year.
right.
It's like, I love that sort of conversation. Okay. All right. So Josh Connerly is one of the kind of, my crushes, one of my draft crushes. Colston Loveland would be really fun. We've moved Jack Bash up. Jack Bash is like, I don't know. He's just like that dude you love to watch, right? Like,
He's your guy to root for in this class.
yes, yeah, that's the best way. He's a guy you love to root for. I think yeah, that's the best way. Like, where you're like, is he the fastest guy? No, but he's not slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is he the biggest guy? Well, yeah, he's got good size,
Mm-hmm.
but none of that is like going to be number one in the class. But when you put it all together, you're like, do I need like that's the kind of work ethic and just attitude that you want your team to have. So like taking Jack Besh makes a lot of sense in that sense. Um, in this situation, going down, looking through what they have, Josh Connerly. I thought Josh Connerly. I think he's the best athlete at tackle in this class. And the thing about it is, I walk away from that Senior Bowl, and I know I've probably taken him into mock already on this show, but like I walked away from that Senior Bowl. Yeah, he had that viral clip where he got destroyed by Mike Green, which he has issues with power. He was also on the right. The he was on the right side for that rep, and he just was
Mm-hmm.
not. He did not get his hands up. He did not get set quick enough, and Mike Green saw it and exploited it and destroyed
He
him.
was on him too quickly, and like boom, there's too much speed to power there.
Which is crazy because of how good of an athlete Connerly is. It's just it
Yeah,
happened. That
yeah.
just shows you what level Mike Green is also on. But he came back and had a couple of good reps against Mike Green after that. I
Wasn't
just
he
continue.
voted the top offensive lineman there by the players?
I think that was Gray Zabel.
Oh,
Or Gray Zabel was the
I
best
got my
of the
facts
whole
wrong.
thing. I either way, I'd love either one of them. That's fine. Um, but yeah, no, man, like you're right. Like a lot of people talked about him. I think he's a really good mover. Add like 10 pounds of muscle to Josh Connerly, a little bit more power, and I think you've got an elite left tackle for a long time.
Yep, I think so too. And he's so young too, so he's an
Yeah,
ascending talent for sure.
he's either just turned 21 or he turns 21 like right before the draft.
Definitely a positive. All right, so if taking a quarterback at 2 wasn't already the nightmare scenario, this is like nightmare scenario 2.0 because all of the tackles are gone
Oh my
and
god.
Jackson is gone. So unless you like Ursery here, like you are not in good shape. So I continue to like feel more and more as this process continues that if the Browns want to have one of those top tackles, I'm not even talking about the guys who came into this process top, like Campbell and Banks. I'm talking any of the guys that at this point we're thinking are like first round legitimate tackle prospects. They're gonna
Mhm.
have to move up from 33, like to the mid 20s at least, because I don't think guys like Connerly and Membu and even Donovan Jackson, if you view him as a tackle or think he could play tackle, I don't think they're lasting to 33. It's too much of a premium position for that to happen, which is really unfortunate, but that's the situation this team is going to be in. So you're faced with a lot of issues here. Um, we still don't know enough on the top 2 corners here on their health
Injuries.
situations.
And
I think,
Ravel's an older prospect too.
yeah, either one of these guys, like just going off talent at this point, really good value. They're like if they were healthy, you'd probably see them go within the top 25, maybe even top 20 for both. You just don't know. Um, I don't know. Matthew Golden is intriguing here. I'm almost feeling like, are you forced to go with a tackle, just like whoever the best tackle is at this point? Because you have nothing, right? Like you
Yeah.
can't count on Jones to be a factor in 2025. You don't really have any depth behind Conklin, and you don't have a starter on the left side. So I think you almost are forced into Ursery here. Try him at tackle, see if he can stick there if he's quick enough to stay there. If not, I think he can be a very good guard. So you're improving your offensive line regardless at this pick. I'm not
Yeah.
thrilled about it, but I think that's kind of where you have to go at this point.
I do like Ursery a lot just because I think he's got stuff you can work with because a dude that big shouldn't move the way he moves. Although I will say, your boy, I heard a lot of buzz about your boy Anthony Belton last week at the
There you
scene.
go.
There was a lot of really good buzz there. Question from World's Fastest Batman: Where is Simmons? Where is Simmons trending? Yeah, from everything I have not heard anything about his medicals, but like
Mm-hmm.
all the draft people are talking to. I just keep hearing top 20 whenever you talk
Yeah.
about Josh Simmons. It's like
If the
they have,
Browns have a shot at Simmons, it's because his injury outlook is really bad.
yeah, yeah.
You're not, if he's healthy, he's going to be long gone.
Unless you like do a little trade back, you take him anyway. Well,
I wouldn't
anyway,
hate it.
I
Wouldn't hate
would.
it.
I would not. I love when an Ohio State guy actually is worth it for the Browns because like I try so hard to make sure I'm not being a homer, but so when it
Uh-huh.
aligns, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and then you still get called a homer, even though I didn't even say what college he was from. Like he's just a good tackle.
I just said he was the best tackle in the class. Like it's like that's all I said. I thought about doing a written mock for the website and doing as many Ohio State players as possible just to see the meltdown that
Mm-hmm.
people would have. And I would even pick good ones. You know what I mean? Like I was going to pick good ones, and it's like,
Lathan Ransom in the second round.
yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. All right. I'm very intrigued by where you take a running back. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, I love that they're like back to back because they're kind of like that on my board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like very interested to see like where that goes. And let's see. I love Kevin Winston Jr. a lot, but the injury only plays 2 games this year. Tremendous run defender back there, plays deep. But you can see the splits here. Had a really good year last year for Penn State, but it's really tough, with that injury. I like Dylan Gray. I'm going to take Jalen Royals. I like Jalen Royals a ton. I thought had that mid-season injury. I think he played 7 games. Let me check and make sure I'm not. Yeah, 22 years old. He'll be 22. I think he's got good size, good speed, all around good. I think once you start getting past this, I think there is a massive drop off at wide receiver.
Yeah.
As you get through the third round. So a guy with like Jalen Royals with size, speed, athleticism, when I know you need a weapon, I think he makes a ton of sense. I'll take him here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you got a handful of wide receivers, and then all of a sudden it's like, good luck.
Yep. That's how it's going to be for a lot of positions, unfortunately. So they kind of have to pick and choose which ones they're going to be willing to pass on for a lot of the draft. And free agency will help with that. It'll clear up the picture a little bit. They make any trades or something. So
Have you heard this, by the way? I just saw this before we hopped on, and it just came across that the Rams
Hmm.
are trading. That's interesting. That's
Yeah,
eh,
there's a lot of things you got to think about with that. So like if you're trading Garrett, I don't think that makes much sense. But if you're trying to win now, he's a good one. So
there's the wide receiver trade. We were wondering if it
yeah,
because it's
exactly.
every year.
Yep. And it like increases in like level of player each year. So more to Judy and then to Cooper Cup. All right. So Gray Zabel being ranked 60 here, I would expect that to like skyrocket, maybe even like 30 places in like a week's like
Fantastic.
within a week.
Yeah.
I would take him here, but I don't think that's realistic. So I I I think I'm gonna take Embo here and just
I
figure out
learned
if
his
he's a
name
better
is
guard or
Bo.
a center. It's Bo.
Yeah, it's what Todd McShay has been
The M is
saying.
silent.
Trevor Sikkema's been saying. I just heard a bunch of people say it's Bo, and who I think might be a center, might be his best spot. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, for some reason, apparently the M is silent.
All right. Well, you learn something new every day. So Marcus Bo, and like you said, center or guard, wherever he earns a spot at, I'm fine with. And then hope that Ursery can stick at tackle. That's where I'm sitting here. So
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that for you because like you're hitting inside outside, even if it's center versus guard, wherever it is. It's like, guess what? We're gonna find. He's that guy that it's like you draft him and you figure out where he plays later. Like,
just trying to get some good athletic linemen in here so we can start running the ball again.
yeah, and like world's fastest fat man says, he's a guy that can move in space, very
Absolutely.
well. Moves very well in space. All right. I keep clicking over to my mock before I put it on the screen. So then I have to come back over here so I can put it back on the screen. All right. Up at 94 here. I I like Tate Ratledge, but he's older. I think he's like 24. Yeah, he's going to be 24.
Mm.
So that's I keep forgetting about that because I like him quite a bit. If Jalen Milroe was on the board at 94, I don't find that realistic because people are going to bet on those traits. If he was on the board there, I would run it up. Mello Dotson is fun, but I think he's older, isn't he? He's a senior. Um, I do kind of like I think getting a corner in the top 100 might be a sneaky big thing they need to do.
I
Uh,
agree.
like, and you're kind of at this point where you pick which Kansas guy you like best, I suppose. I really like Kobe Bryant just because of the run defense. I think he's more physical, plays in the run, plays. I think he's bigger too. No, he's smaller. That's interesting because he plays a lot bigger than Mello Dotson does, in my opinion. But I like, you know what, I'm going to do it. It might be a little bit of a reach for some people, but I think Kobe Bryant's a really nice physical corner, plays the run well, plays man coverage, plays coverage, zone coverage well. I think he can do a little bit of it all. So I'll take Kobe Bryant there.
Like it. All right, I'm trading up because I got to start getting rid of all these 18 picks out of the back end. I am never doing it. So we're moving up for a running back.
Oh.
National champion Travion Henderson.
Ooh, where are you going? You're going up to 80? Okay.
They accepted it for Mr. Relevant, so I don't necessarily know if that's fair value, but I don't make the trade sim rules, so we're gonna be happy with that.
We take what we get on this. All right, that is the motto of OBR Mock Draft Duel. We take what we get.
Yes,
that's what we do here. Let's see here. How far do Milam's low arms make him drop? Dude still has maybe the best overall grades in the last 2 years. Really good tape. Dropping him is reasonable. How can you ignore his prediction? It's great. I still like Wyatt Milam. I'm just right now. I'm working on later this week or into next week. Sometime I'll have an updated big board. I keep going back and forth because I think he can stick at tackle. It's just you got to worry about the leverage situation because he's got the shorter arms, but he also plays with an inconsistent pad level from time to time. So
Yeah. And
it's
we talked about this a little bit last week where there are some guys in this class with shorter arms but really good tape. And are you willing to bet that they're going to join the outlier group of Armstead, Staley, and Peters over the last like 15 years? Like those are the only guys with below the threshold of arm length. So do you like Milam enough to say, I believe he's going to join those guys? And he's got really good tape, really good production, like we're saying. So it's not the worst bet in the world, I feel like.
no. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go homerish here, man. I'm gonna do Will Howard at 102 if Will Howard is there. Understood why he didn't go to the Senior Bowl, but like to me, Will Howard is like, can you? This is the question that I have and why I would take Will Howard. Can you put Will Howard in a similar environment in the National Football League to make him successful? He's not an elevator. Like Will Howard is not walking in there and elevating everybody around him. But if you get back to like Kevin Stefanski's grassroots and you rebuild that offensive line and you get that running game going again, and maybe Nick Chubb comes back, whatever it is, you get another wide receiver. In this case, I've already brought in another wide receiver, didn't I? Did I?
Yep, you got Royals.
Okay, I did. Thank you. But you bring in some weapons, and he does a great job. I think he's more accurate than I thought. His accuracy impressed me, especially in the college football playoff. Like, I think he needs to be in the right system. And it's like, when Baker Mayfield was here, to make everything work with him, it had to be right. Everything around him had to be right. That's Will Howard ceiling. I think Will Howard has a high floor, low ceiling, and if you plug him into the right spot, you can win games. He's a high-end backup that can win games in a quarterback-friendly system. I think that system can be ran by Stefanski.
Sounds like a valuable backup to me.
Right. Like he's like that. I'm trying to think, like Jacoby Brissett, like kind of guy that's like, oh, I can win with Jacoby Brissett if I really.
Yeah. All right, so we got some interesting prospects here. Again, a lot of these I just don't see happen. I don't see Darian Porter lasting this long. Kevin Winston, Elijah Arroyo, I don't see because we're at the top of the fourth already. So we got to look a little bit further down.
What a Senior Bowl for Elijah Arroyo, man! Like,
yeah,
I missed him, dude. I missed him on my initial top 10 rankings. I just hadn't watched a lot of his tape, and because you look at his numbers, he didn't even have 600 receiving yards. So I was like, maybe I'll get to his numbers when I get to him. And then all of a sudden, like, I get a text from Casey Kinnaman. He's like, dude, Arroyo's that dude. And I'm like, really? And he was popping while I was watching, Cam Ward tape, but I was really focused on Cam Ward. He goes down to that Senior Bowl, and I'm like, oh.
Like, now I see it.
My apologies, sir.
Yeah, definitely a very toolsy player who I can definitely see having a lot of success in the NFL. I don't see him lasting until the fourth, so I'm not gonna go that route. Defensive tackle, I think, is a underrated need. Darius Alexander and Aeneas Peebles, I think, both had really good Senior Bowl weeks.
Yeah.
So both of them helped themselves a lot, I think. So you could go either way. I'm just going to go with Alexander and pander to the Rockets fans. So
it was so funny because I was working on my mock that came out for the website that totally got buried because as soon I released that mock and like 3 hours later, Myles requests a trade. I'm like, son.
That's terrible timing on your part. You made a huge mistake.
It's like, oh my goodness, you're like, what have I done? What have I done? But I had him at 105 or the pick at 102 or whatever that pick is right there, just because like, oh my goodness, that dude's interesting. Like, there's a lot of like interesting traits about Alexander. And
Yeah.
as a Mac guy, oh, you can already see who I want. Look at that. Marcus Yarns, the running back. He's a grad. Like, he might be aged out because I don't have an age on him, but I do have that he was a graduate student. Um, this dude's quick. Like, I want to get a running back in Cleveland that has got the breakaway, because I think Ford has really good speed, but I want this just like super hyper explosive. Like,
Yeah.
Ford's got to get going a little bit to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
there.
He's got more long speed. It's not necessarily like quick lightning quick acceleration. And that's the kind of guy you want to be able to hit that hole really quickly. They just don't have that right now.
And I think that's what Marcus Yarns can give you. He showed some of that stuff down at the Senior Bowl, was able to really showcase coming from the smaller school. So you get a chance for a guy that has that super hyper explosiveness. He goes a little bit later because of the small school that he plays for. And so I like the idea of trying to get some of that in Cleveland.
I like it. So I'm faced with a dilemma here because I want to move up for Dylan Sampson, but I've already taken Travion Henderson. And I'm not sure those two guys complement each other because I think their skill sets might overlap too much. What do you think?
I don't think you can ever have enough of that. Like, if
All right, I'm
that's
convinced.
if that's on the table, it's just because, and I know that it's not the exact same, but I look at what Ohio State had this year, and I know that these two guys are not the same as well, one of them is Henderson, but it's not the same as Henderson and Judkins. But Henderson was at his best as that knockout punch, like
Yeah.
explosive number two, and I think that the idea, I did it in a mock today. I'm kind of thinking about doing it in a lot of written mocks going forward, where it's like, I love getting two running backs. I just think this class is so stupid loaded that you've got to do that. Just like I think you've got to make sure you do some moves at defensive line, because I think the defensive line class is stupid loaded. And it's just like,
Yeah. Take advantage of the deep position groups, especially when there are two groups that you have needs at.
right. Like Ollie Gordon, that's disrespectful. That's straight disrespectful to put Ollie Gordon at 192. I thought he had a pretty good Senior Bowl. I was a little down on him going into the Senior Bowl, but like, I thought he had a pretty good Senior Bowl. What do I got at defensive interior? Because I messed around and didn't take one yet. Be a little bit. Murray Caldwell, 3 foot. There it is. That's what we need. We need a big old hog molly in the middle there. Good run defender from Oregon. Kind of overshadowed by the fact that Derek Harmon's next to him. And what's the other one's? What's the other guy's name? There's another defensive lineman, Oregon defensive lineman. I can't think of.
Dortch? What was his
Is
name?
it Jordan Birch?
Birch. Yep, that's it.
But Jamari Caldwell, big 340-pound guy, still had a 10%, nearly 10% pass rush win rate, but got to clog up the middle a little bit. So I'll take the lane clogger. Hog, yeah. Hog molly for the turkey hole. That's right.
There you go. All right, safety I think is a need, as you alluded to earlier. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with Billy Bowman here from Oklahoma. But he had 6 picks in 2023. Just really good coverage grades. He's undersized. He's like 5'10", so he's a smaller dude, but he can play, and that you can bring him along, slowly. Like, you're not drafting a guy in the 6th round to start right away. So I think you're going to be fine with him. So safety, I think, is again, like defensive tackle, is underrated need. And I think there's going to be some guys available later on day 3 that you can bring in and say, okay, I see a situation where this guy can start for me at some point in the future, and I think Bowman's one of those guys.
I agree. Another guy that I thought had some moments at the Senior Bowl. That reminds me, let's see what I've got left at safety here on the board. I think this is still I still stick with Malachi Moore. I like him a ton. 23.3% forced incompletion rate. But the biggest thing is slot snaps, mainly in the slot last year, but then moved back to safety this year. As you can see, the grades show that was where he was at his best this year was back at safety. But I still think he is a good run defender. Has played some slot, hasn't really played outside corner, but has played some slot, played in the box. I love those versatile guys. So getting Malachi Moore here in 6th round is cool with me.
Do we know Nick Nash's age?
I do. Hold on, I've got that. I think you're okay for where you're at.
Yeah, it's late day 3, so I think you can bend the rules a little bit, even if he's a bit older.
That's what I was like doing for yarns. Nash. I have it here somewhere. I know that his freshman year was 2019.
Yeah, he's been in school for 6 years, so that's the concern. Really good 2024 though.
Yeah, but I think at this point in the draft, like to me, it's like I think he does some really fun. But I mean, as a freshman, he was a quarterback.
Yeah, wasn't he recruited as a QB? So like, I shouldn't do this just so that I don't give Stefanski any ideas, because we're already sick of the little gimmick plays that don't do anything. So
Absolutely
what else?
work.
Kobe King, Jake Majors is good, but we already got Marcus Bowe.
Yeah.
Brenning Stoll, I don't see Joyner lasting. That's the thing. Like a lot of these, our like personal rankings for a lot of these guys are going to differ a lot from the consensus board as a whole, just because the consensus board takes into account so many mocks and big boards. So you're going to see players that, like there's probably not 171 better prospects in this class than Jake Brenningstool, for example. So, just things like that are going to happen. There's a lot of good running backs on the board still, but I did Mitchell Evans last time, so we're going to try to let's see if there's another tight end that I think might be decent. Who we got here? Jurasik.
Yeah, Jurasik's
I mean, 404th on the big one. That's crazy.
I think
I'll go with it. I can live with that. I think he can. I think he can make the team as a tight end 3 or tight end 4, depending on how many they keep this year.
It's a
Georgia guy.
Yeah, I think part of his issues were his usage. Sorry, I clicked on that. All right, so your draft is done. So while yours finishes, we're gonna make a bunch of real quick picks.
This happens every time.
Gadsden is just this power slot playing tight end.
Yeah.
But like he's big enough. Yeah, 236 somewhere around I think he can develop. You're not going to play him in line, but you're going to play him in the slot and some stuff like that. And so I think he'd be a fun, interesting weapon. Tyler Show, if you like 25-year-old quarterbacks, is there.
I do like quarterbacks who can just like spin the ball in their hand after they catch the bad snap and then sling it. Like that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. You got me there.
Yeah, like if that's not a reason to draft someone, I don't know what is.
I don't know what are we even doing here. I still stay very happy with Joshua Gray just because played left tackle, played left guard. I think he's a better guard. I think he can move a little bit. I think he's got enough power and enough size. and I love that flexibility to go there. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Do we do it? Do we take Marks? Do we take Marks even though he's 24 years old already? You can't stop me.
So running back.
Give me more running backs. I'm just picking Tyler Show here because it's not a real pick. This has devolved. The end of this show has just gotten absolutely out of hand.
HTML, edit that pick out of the final results. Just delete
Yeah,
the element and we go on.
and just delete it. All right. Here we go. Sam, present us with
All
your
right.
mock draft for the week.
So we did a little bit of maneuvering around, but not a whole lot. So we end up with Shador Sanders as the new quarterback, and hopefully Ariante Ursery as his new left tackle. Marcus Bowe from Purdue as either a center or a guard, whichever. He'll be good at either one. Then we end up with Travion Henderson as a home run threat at running back, Darius Alexander from Toledo to provide some depth on the interior defensive line. Then we grab another home run hitter, Dylan Sampson from Tennessee, and then Billy Bowman and Benjamin Jurasik to add some depth at safety and tight end. So overall, not like the star power, I think, of some of the other classes that I've ended up with, but you get a guy who, for the purposes of this conversation, the purpose of this show, we believe is franchise quarterback material. Don't take that out of context.
I'm
That's
taking
only,
that.
yeah. Andrew Barry called me and told me for this hour he believes Shador Sanders is a franchise quarterback. So that's what we're going off of.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You've improved your offensive line, you've rebuilt your RB room, and you've added some depth at some of these other key positions. So I'm going to say it could be a lot worse. That's what I'll say.
That's a team that can run the football, though.
Yeah.
Like that's a team that can run the football. So let's see what PFF gave me. What did they grade me for? They said I should have drafted Tyler Booker instead of Jalen Royals, but they could shove it. B plus. Yay. B plus. This isn't a real pick. All right. Okay. Abdul Carter at 2, Josh Connerly. If somehow Josh Connerly's at 33, I will cream my pants. Then at 67, Jalen Royals, the Utah State wide receiver, Kobe Bryant, the corner from Kansas, Will Howard, the quarterback from Ohio State, Marcus Yarns, the home run threat from Delaware, Jamari Caldwell, the run stuffing defensive tackle. Malachi Moore can play in the slot, play at safety. Rondé Gadsden, the more of a power slot tight end. Joshua Gray, played a little bit of left tackle, play some guard. I like Jaquavius Marks in the 6th round because he's already 24, but it is what it is. And then get a little bit of linebacker depth there at the end of that there. So that is it for episode 3. Episode 3.
3 or 4? I don't remember.
4?
We're already delirious, so
It's a challenge. We'll probably have a guest next week. And so we can try. The PFF grades are hateful. I agree. They are very hateful. I don't like I like this. Sam's draft is just boring enough to be a true reflection of what to expect. Okay, but like that's a football team that can, like that's a football team that can run the ball though and be efficient with Shador at quarterback and a couple of home run hitting running backs, like and better offensive line.
We're gonna win 8 games so well.
So well.
Like,
for the rest of eternity.
We're gonna get that 16th overall pick, and it's gonna be awesome.
We will be stuck in what I like to call Jeff Fisher land.
Yes.
All right, guys, make sure you stay tuned in over to the OBR.com. Check out all the written work. Got a player profile coming out, I believe, tomorrow on Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. So you want to check that out. We got a bunch of film cut up for that. But anyway, for Sam Penix, I'm Jacob Roach. Well, thank you for tuning in to the OBR. We will see you guys again next time. And then I hit this button.